Hello everybody, Всем привет. Today I've been working on the sprites, getting ready to do the battlefield animations and attacks and all of that stuff. You can see what we've got here is the Hydra sprite. The format is WIP. Should I begin talking about this? So I inside the Heroes AGG, in the base level, there are a number of files that contain the sprites. The ATK files are, I think, like shooting attacks. There's a WIP file, an STD file, and a WLK file. And we're gonna go over what's in each of those. But initially, I just took this peasant.std. I thought it was probably stand. WLK was probably walk. ATK probably attack. WIP I thought might be like wince in pain, because one of the sounds is wince, which for non-English speakers, wince is like like when you get hit or you cry out in pain, and that the way your face looks when you're crying out in pain is a wince. And so I thought that was like wince in place. We're going to find out that there's sort of a rhyme and reason to it, but not really. But anyway, I just dumped in the STD file into Claude and said, hey, let's have a look at these. We have a STD, ATK, WLK, WIP. I'm guessing it's stand, attack, walk, wince, in pain. Can you help me decode these files? Starts figuring something out. The palette is still off, so I drop in the combat.pal, which was also down here in the heroes.agg directory. Does some processing. Looks like it's coming up with a format, so boy, isn't that great to do the reverse engineering this way. But this is what we ended up getting out. So it was kind of getting some stuff right, kind of getting some stuff wrong. Maybe I can expand my screen here and we can look at that a little bigger. So there's definitely some weird stuff going on, but it kind of worked. So I tested the sprite decoder. I also threw in my old Heroes of Might and Magic 1 extract script and said, you know, look at how the PNGs were decoded in this script. Maybe you can follow that method instead of the Heroes of Might and Magic 2 method, which I think it's been trained on the F Heroes 2 code. I think that was Claude used that to train somehow. So occasionally when I'm generating code, it'll dump in something like halflings. And I'm like, where did that come from? Well, that came from the AI being trained on someone's Heroes of Might and Magic 2 code from who knows when. Maybe a website related to Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Like, who knows what the actual inputs were, but sometimes weird things like halflings or skeletons or other things appear even though I'm doing Heroes of Might and Magic 1. So just one of those hallucinations you run into with vibe coding a little bit of Heroes of Might and Magic 1. But we did a couple more runs. I gave it a few more files. It sort of does the archer. It sort of gets the peasant. There's this little streak across the top where it's not decoding the top of the peasant's head correctly. Sort of gets the paladin. Sort of gets the paladin again, but you got this streak across the top. So, you know, we're running into some issues. I'm saying it's sort of working. The palette's being used correctly. I gave it a few more files. It runs. What was the WIP it gave us here? Let's see if we can view this here. So again, the paladin walking in place is what I'm guessing. I thought this was wince in pain. This is not wince in pain. This is probably walking in place or something. I don't know. But this is, we're still getting this weird initial frame, like this plume that comes out of the helmet is getting distorted here somehow. So I keep calling that out, keep going back and forth, and the AI keeps saying, "Oh, I think I got it," and it doesn't. And then I'm starting to ask, like, well, what if we try this 0x80 hex value as the start of the data? Let's check that. What if scanning forward 10 bytes is too much? So I'm just trying to get the AI, I'm just trying to poke it so it thinks and tries to decode a little differently. I also say, why don't we look at some notes from Heroes of Might and Magic 2 Sprite decoding? Maybe there's some idea from that. So I dump a bunch of information from this Thaddeus 002 GitHub. Just runs through everything, but doesn't really find much that's useful. Let's see what the files are that we get here. So this is starting to look, you know, we're seeing this is the wince and pain structure here. There's something weird going on here with the beginning. There's sort of the outline of the back, and then there's some noise, and then we just see the head. So there's something strange going on there. And these are like attack animations that are like over this. And the whip, we're still getting this distortion here. So at this point, I gave up for the day on this particular chat, and I was working on something else, so I just paused and was like, well, I sort of have this decoded. Like it's not nothing, but it's but anyway, I picked it up another day, a little later, and I gave it this was the STD, the standard standing, whatever it is, file. Okay, can't preview me there, but this again, this one with the distorted plume on the top, and this one is still the corrupted Paladin standing version. And I'm seeing this bug where the initial sprite isn't being captured correctly. Maybe we should read the file backwards. Are there other smart things you can think of to fix the decoding? So we go through, and by the way, this one I'm starting to use Claude. I was using, which one was it? Opus, I think. Opus 4.7. So I tried using the latest Claude because I had gotten, I'd made some progress with, I mostly just use Sonnet on Claude, which is kind of their more general purpose model. It's not as expensive in terms of tokens. But I thought, well, this is a little bit weirder. Why don't we throw the smarter model at it? So I gave it my initial script and kind of the previous status, and it burned a lot of my tokens and did all, this all sounds smart, but it's basically like, hey, your script is decoding these files correctly. And I was like, so you just confirmed that the bug was still there. Thanks for, so I spent like 50% of my tokens for the day, having it just tell me what I already knew. So I was not happy about that. I gave it the palette, goes through a whole bunch of this stuff. Yeah, here's where we get to the point where it says, hey, we made a minor update to like one of the frame bodies, but other than that, everything else, you'll likely see the same wraparound pattern. Like it basically did nothing. So I was like, oh man, that's terrible. So I'm still seeing this bug. Still seeing this bug. These I think this is not the correct decoding of the file. And so I try again. Still burning some tokens with this Claude Opus 4.7, which I'm not impressed by. And then, I completely misread the situation. The bug isn't about frame 0, blah, blah, blah. So we go through this a while. It starts looking at different prefixes. It just talks to itself a whole bunch. At this point, I'm like, I think this is just garbage. I I literally said that was a waste. I wish I could get the tokens back. Opus 4.7 is junk. So I'm just sending some subtle feedback to Claude. Just letting them know like, hey, that was junk. And I actually think I had skipped this. I just stopped that and just gave up for the day. This was like a couple days ago. And I dumped in my image files, and actually no, these were the image files I downloaded from the free Heroes, just to see if there was anything in here. And so it went and looked and looked at the Free Heroes 2 code base just to see if there's anything interesting in there. There wasn't really that much. And anyway, it runs through a whole bunch of this stuff. And let's see what the paladin output was from this. It did actually that did help it fix this plume problem. So nothing from the Heroes of Might and Magic 2 extended opcodes, but there was a fix with this header n+4 for the first frame and file storage order unconditionally. The 4-byte prefix is structural constant to the format. Combined with the previous wraparound fix, the forward walk to the second to last frame to find the wraparound frame start. All frames now decode correctly. So I want to modify the script. Instead of just doing a single script, I want to dump everything from all of the std, whip, ATK, and walk files. And so it does a quick update on that. And the peasant is starting to look good, but it's getting cut off. This pitchfork is getting cut off here. So I call that out and say, well, it's looking mostly correct for the walk and the whip, but these files are getting cut off. So are they getting truncated? Are we measuring this X width of the images correctly? Are we measuring the Y width of them correctly? Because it looks like the peasant's boots are also getting cut off a little bit at the bottom. So it does a check, run another one, and so I think they're both being decoded correctly now. Let's omit those types from further consideration. Now let's focus on the ATK and STD files. So this is the Druid ATK file, which you can kind of see it's like the base of the Druid and then a few animation frames and then some shot frames. And then this is the Druid STD file, which is about 4 frames here of the Druid animation, and then a base frame and 2 animation frames for the Druid shooting at an angle or straight on. So I'm still trying to get it to look and figure out what this, especially here, what this weird outline is of the back of the Druid. It's basically some kind of layout tile, I'm guessing. I really have no idea. And I couldn't find any information on this. That this game is like 30 years old, so probably some of the people who've worked on this have like probably a few of them have passed away. Like this is dead knowledge in some sense. But I get to a point, I run this a couple different ways. Let's see what we had here. It's trying to do some analysis here and composite some of these images, and that isn't quite what I thought. And so instead I gave it a list of two files, and I'm basically going to look up the offset combinations for each file. Like I said, hey, maybe we can find some information here. but like let's try some combinations for this Druid file. So it built a table of the basically the overlays that I had suggested here. It built a table for it. It built a table for the projectile. It ran, it ran this script, and then we get something that looks like this for the first composite, and something that looks like this for the second composite. So now we're actually getting these animation frames compiled. If you go back up here and we look at what this was before, oh, not that one. It was actually this one. We were seeing we were merging this attack file. We basically merged these frames together. So we went from this and also this down to this. So we're basically merging the frames so that they look correct. This was the attack, and then we also did this for the standard. So I updated the Druid ATK in the standard with the correct offset values in the Python script. Can you update the script based on the CSV files? And I want to be able to process each of those files individually and manually adjust the XY offsets. So it ran through this, generated some stuff for the archer, and gave me some stuff to work with. And this was basically where I got to. And what I then did is I took that script and I basically took that script and I filled out manually by inspection. I manually inspected there's 6 of these and there's 28 of these, and there's actually nothing for the Hydra or the Wolf. And I did the manual inspection, and I actually just want to show you what that looks like, because it was a bit of a process. So first of all, I quickly checked the whip files. So the walk and whip files, these are just the animations for each sprite on here, and they pretty much all look correct. There's not always a whip file for each creature, but there is always a walk file. So that was the walk and the whip. That was decoded correctly, so I can at least animate the creatures moving around. The first time I did this standard decoding, I got something that looked like this. So you can see there's like a body here, and then there's a head on all of these. And there's again this weird garbage at the beginning. And that's pretty much present on every file. So the creatures that can attack 2 spaces, the Cyclops and the Dragon, and further on we'll see the Phoenix. Those have additional frames because so this is the Phoenix here. There's many more additional frames here of the Phoenix being able to attack multiple frames. Anyway, there's the sprites, the troll, the unicorn, everything. These aren't quite centered, and also the wolf is missing a couple of frames. And let's see, the Hydra also doesn't have these weird partial frames. So that it was interesting. Just the wolf and the Hydra are animated, or are less animated, or they don't have this partial animation that a lot of the others do. But this was the basic standard format for those. Like that's what I was working with. And then what I did is I went in and I created, by manually computing the offset, I did an overlay of like frame 6 plus frame 7 and frame 8. So if we look initially, this is frame 6 base frame, and frame plus frame 7, and then frame 6 base frame and frame 8. And so the offsets were not being computed properly. Same, this is the corrected frame for the cavalry. This is what the offsets were initially when I overlaid them. So I went through manually for each creature and figured out this offset. This is the Cyclops after, this is the Cyclops before. The heads were all over the place. Same thing, this is the dragon after the fact. This is the dragon before. You know, like just zoom in on this. This is how the animation was over the base frame of frame 6. This is frame 5. Frame 3 seems to be the death frame, or the wince in pain frame. Here's our druid, which was our test case. This is the dwarf. This was the initial state. The elf was a little off. Gargoyle, there's just a few pixels for the gargoyle. There's just a few pixels here that were off. And we did fix that over here. But that there was something there. The genie was really messed up. The ghost had just this pixel thing. So the ghosts, the griffins, the gargoyles just had this little pixel dust that needed to be put in location. The goblins were strange. The griffin just had very small amount of pixel dust, you can see here. And if you look very closely at the griffin, you'll see some holes here where it's green shining through. Hydra didn't have anything to animate, which was interesting. Minotaur was a bit of work. The nomads also work. Ogre, orcs. The paladin was cut in half. Peasant cut in half. The phoenix was something. The pikeman cut in half. The rogue was cut in half. Sprite was heavily distorted. The swordsman cut in half. Troll was cut in half. Headless horse. And then nothing for the wolf. And if we go back to, I think I have the attack screens as well. I can show you that. So this is what the attack screens looked like both after and then before. And so I had to manually adjust all of these corrupted sprites. And I'm a little unsure about the troll here because there's this little blip. It might still be off by 1. The troll was hard. And it seems strange because the troll was missing some of these additional frames of like throwing the rock. And so it may use the animation from the melee attacks, because by the way, the ATK file is just the ranged attacks. So this is just for the ranged attacks and the projectiles. If we go back to the standard stuff, these are the melee attacks. So this is receiving a melee attack, getting attacked, and then these are the first 2 frames of the melee attack, and then these are the last 2 frames if you're attacking up or attacking down. And what I also did was created some spreadsheets just to track the different frames here. So let me zoom in on this a little bit. Make this 200% bigger. So the base frame was F1, the superimposed frames were F2 through F5, and for the troll it was just F4, and then that you have these projectile frames. Now the troll projectile, maybe that's the same as what the ballista throws. I'm not sure why there wasn't a troll projectile. It's possible my decoder didn't work correctly. I'm not sure, but I was figuring this one out. But the attack, the ranged attacks were this was minor, and I thought, oh, okay, well, if this is all I have to do, that's not much. But for the melee attacks, there's 28 creatures, so I had to manually go through this, and I spent probably 4 hours decoding this, just sitting there decoding each of these frames. Initially, I thought there was a different case for gargoyles and griffins and ghosts because of that sort of pixel dust. I thought that they had their own special case, but really just the Hydra and the Wolf have like a lack of animation frames. And then the Phoenix and the Cyclops and the Dragon also have that, well, they have additional superimposed frames because of the attacking two hex spaces at once. That animation is well, they just have some extra animation frames for that. But everything else was pretty standard. So there were basically 23 relatively standard creatures, 3 double space creatures, and then 2 creatures that were missing the extra animation frames. So that's where it's at right now. And again, we're like, I don't really know what to do about this. If I go back to this stdv1 and look at these files, that I don't know what to do about this first frame. If these are some sort of offset guidance thing, that this, because these dropping down seem to indicate that maybe it's some kind of like offset information encoded in this first frame. I'm part of me would love to crack this and just be able to read these files, but another part of me is like, I just want to move on and start animating these things. And so if I extract these frames correctly relative to one another, and I may have to write another offset detection piece here, but I can probably extract, well, not this one, but if I basically just told my previous decoder to ignore the first frame, just throw it out, it's garbage, because it looks pretty much like the other frame. And then if I use these, I have like every other frame here, I have enough to actually animate it. Now I have to figure out the alignment. So there's still, like, I have the offset to create these images correctly. And now I have to figure out the alignment of each of these frames relative to one another. But once I do that, then I'm able to do the animations, or I at least have a chance of doing the animations. So, they don't make it easy for you. There's no documentation that I've found, and maybe I did a whole bunch of work that I didn't need to do because it is documented somewhere. But at a bare minimum, I'm gonna brute force getting the animation to work by ripping out each of these fully decoded frames of animation now, and writing something to process those and generate them and store them. But I was literally moving pixels like one by one, counting pixels, zooming in really close to see, okay, how many pixels is this that it's off by, and it was pretty tedious, but I did get through it, and we're getting that much closer to being able to get to the battle screen and do some animations. So that's the update here of decoding the unit sprites for the battle screen.